Hey guys, this video is on dragon raids in King's Raid. So there's a lot to know and learn about dragon raids in King's Raid. It's not just go into dragon, beat dragon up, get items, although I suppose if you want to simplify it, it is just go into dragon, beat dragon up, get items. But there's etiquette involved, there's various strategies, and there's various heroes that are really good in dragon. So what is a dragon raid to start off with? Well, once you hit level, I want to say 30, you unlock dragon raids. There are 4 types of dragons: fire, frost, poison, and black. The fire dragon drops the flame set, which improves your critical hit rate. The frost dragon drops the glacial set, which improves your max HP. The poison dragon drops the poison set, or the noxious set, which improves crit resistance for your units. And the black dragon drops the darkness set, which improves the mana gained per attack. So the most valuable is the black dragon. Ice dragon or frost dragon is better for tanks. Poison dragon has niche uses in PvP, and fire dragon is the easiest one to do, as fire dragon only has 6 slots. So all of the dragon raids except fire dragon are 3-man raids, which means there are 9 slots. Each person can bring up to 4 heroes. So if I click here, you can see that I can put in 4 heroes, but I cannot put in a 5th. My deck is full. If I bring a friend, they could put in up to 4 of their own heroes, but I would only be able to use 2. And together we can each use 3 heroes, 2 or 4 and 2 heroes to use 6 heroes in the raid, which makes it much easier. The other 3 are 9 hero raids or 3-man raids. So if I go to Black Dragon here, you can see there are 9 slots. Once again, I can put in 4 units, no more, and I can invite up to 2 friends so that we can have 9 people in the raid. Fire Dragon is what most players will start out by farming because it's much easier to farm, and as a result, a lot of new players will have a lot of Flame Dragon gear at tier 7 for their first few units. I myself have quite a bit of Flame Dragon gear. If I hover over my Theo here for a second, you can see he's using quite a bit. I want to say Frey's using even more. And it's just easy to get Flame Dragon gear. Once you can, though, I would recommend moving up to the Black Dragon, just because Black Dragon gear is useful for everyone. While crit is useful for most DPS as well as healers, tanks don't really need it, and everyone can use mana because mana lets you use skills, and skills are what let you do damage. So making the raid is pretty easy. You can make any level of raid that you have already beaten. If you've beaten a Black Dragon level 70, you can make up to level 70, and you can change it up here in the room settings to go higher or lower. If you press gather raiders in an open room, other raiders will be able to see your room and join it. And then you can change the request help and other stuff. So here we go. I've got the level changed here, and I will invite some friends. And by friends, I mean me, myself, and technically my fiance, but currently just I. So we'll go over here, Astral and Mir 4. They both receive invitations, and they come join my raid. So Azrael has much more powerful units than Mir 4 does, seeing as Mir 4's highest level unit is the perfect statted gear Artemia. And then everyone prepares for battle. It does cost everyone's energy, unlike other games where only the host has to spend their energy. In King's Raid, everyone has to spend energy to join the raid, and then you can just enter the battle. So there are a few units that really excel in dragon raids, and I'll kind of talk as the raid goes on. Mora, now that she's flashing up on the screen, is pretty good just because she's a tank that does a lot of damage. She can have a very high damage output for a tank, and she does pretty well. But the real dragon specialists are Yan and Gao, I would say, are the 2 biggest dragon specialists. Laius is also pretty big because of her magic defense buff, which helps reduce the dragon's damage. But Yan and Gao are the 2 biggest dragon specialists. For Yan, it's in the name. She is the Dragon Slayer. You can see that Azrael's Yan is going to have by far the highest DPS in this dragon raid. She is going to obliterate both my Mirian, who is T5, and my Theo. Despite my Mirian having the same level of unique weapon enhancement, her Yan is just going to dominate once the buffs have been casted, as long as she stays alive. And her Yan's gear isn't even as good as mine, so that's pretty impressive. Gao is good for another reason. So how crowd control works in raids, especially the Dragon Raid, is they have a bar right here. You might have noticed this if you've done World Boss before or other Dragon Raids. This is their crowd control bar. Until this bar is depleted, and you deplete it by using crowd control abilities, the dragon will not be crowd controlled. So you can see Artemia here casts a spell, her S3, has a huge stun on it, and this really lets you crowd control the dragon. And this is important because the dragon has a few attacks that can pretty much one-shot your party. It has a breath attack where it flies up and does a huge breath, and it also has a tail attack as well as a flyby attack. All of these are pretty devastating to parties, and as a result, Gao, who can essentially solo the entire dragon crowd control bar on his own, is hugely recommended. Wow, this is actually a really good drop. I'm being honest, I don't know what to choose. For Azrael, I'll take the earrings because those are pretty important, and my ult can just take the darkness robe. So, bidding, so I'll get back to Gao in a second. So Gao, he can pretty much solo the entire crowd control bar on his own, which makes him sort of a panic button. The dragon's about to fly up, and you go, oh shit, and you hit Gao, and Gao will crowd control the entire dragon on his own, which makes him absolutely amazing. Yan has some crowd control, but not much, but as you can see, Yan's DPS there was insane compared to the rest of the team, and Yan is just good at dragons in general, especially Black and Fire Dragon. Bidding, so how loot works with dragon is once you beat the dragon, the list of the items that the dragon drops comes up. You've got a gold box, which can contain anywhere between 25,000 for Flame Dragon at lowest, 37,500 for the other three, up to over 1 million gold. And then you've got a bunch of random heroic items and ancient items you don't care about. You've got the dragon items that you do care about, the legendary ones, and you've got enhancement stones, which you want to use to upgrade these legendary items. The basic etiquette is to let whoever's carrying you choose first. In this case, my account has the strongest units. The Frey keeps our entire team alive. The Sonya is a powerful tank, and her and Theo provide a lot of crowd control. And my Miriam is also spec'd for crowd control to further increase the safety of our run. So I choose first. Azrael provides a lot of the DPS as well as a secondary tank, so she chooses second. And then my alternate account, because A, it doesn't need the items as badly as it's just an ult, and B, it does the least, chooses last. If you're getting carried, it's recommended to let wow, I only got one item. It's recommended to let whoever's carrying you choose first, and then you choose afterwards, unless they specifically tell you to choose. You can kind of raise the issue with them though, go, hey, I really need, say, a weapon or an armor for my main DPS, like Epis. I need swift scale armors. Can I choose these? And usually someone that has perfect gear for their units will let you take them. Personally, I really need orbs and earrings, as well as hats and robes, as well as plate armors. But if you said you really needed robes and hats, I would say, sure, if there's a robe or a hat, you can take it, but don't bid on plate armors, because I need those unless I bid on something else. So, doing dragons, it's all about building your team and building the synergy for your team. Our team synergy actually isn't the greatest, because my main is using a magic team, my ult is using a magic DPS, but Azrael's account is using a physical team, with Clouds as a physical amper, and Yan as a physical DPS. Luckily, Priscilla and Mediana can both amp any units, although her Mediana does have a physical amp on her skill 4 Transcendence perk. So if we built the team a bit better, we could probably have it go a lot faster. If I had Sonya's skill T3 Transcendence perk for her skill 4 to amp physical, and then I switched out my Miriam for Ra, then Ra's damage would be much higher than Miriam, although the run would be a lot less safe, and the team would synergize better, especially if I also brought Philip to help do more physical amplification for Yan's damage. However, my team does work pretty well because Sonya and Theo both combine to have a lot of effect on the dragon's crowd control bar. The crowd control bar can regenerate if you don't hit it with any crowd control effects for a few seconds. Because of Theo's and Sonia's abilities, especially Theo's passive for Jane, which lets him get a lot of small crowd controls off, and Sonia's multiple small stuns, as well as her one big stun, they can combine to stop the crowd control bar from regenerating, as well as Marianne, which allows them to really just murder the crowd control bar and make this run very safe. Unfortunately, it's not fully safe. As you can see, Yan did still die, which makes this run's going to take a bit longer. Oh, if we don't get this off, this could actually be a problem. Oh, yeah, we got the crowd control off. Okay, perfect, because that would have been a problem. We do have, luckily our tanks have moved the dragon over, so the flyby attack would have gone by like this and missed the backline, but it would still have been kind of risky. In the end, dragons are where you are going to get the best gear in the game. If you want good gear, you need to do dragon raids. There's pretty much no other way about it. I'll abandon on Mir 4 actually, and let Azrael have the ring. There's pretty much no other way around it. Oh, she also got the hat. I'm jealous. And the dagger, damn. There's really no other way around it. You have to do dragons if you want the best gear in the game. It's kind of undeniable. And I mean, it's a good idea to do it anyways. It's a good way to burn energy. It's a good way to get dragon tokens. So dragon coins, you can spend them in two ways. You can spend them at the forge. Okay, you can only spend them one way. You can only spend them at the forge. There's a few different things you can do with them at the forge, but the main thing to do with dragon coins is to buy items. So if I just X out here on my alt, the forge has a few different items in it. It has every piece of dragon gear at the forge, essentially, is how it works. So let's just expand the alt on my screen. We'll portal back to Orvel. I keep wanting to call it Olvia. I know why I want to call it Olvia. It's because that's one of the main towns in Black Desert, but it's Orvel. Orvel and Orvelia. Which is the other reason, because Orvelia is the name of like the continent, and Velia is another of the main towns in Black Desert. Makes it kind of... So yeah, so the forge, you can see here, it sells up to tier 7, although tier 7 is super expensive. What most people do is they'll buy tier 3 stuff to grind for the friendship items for Gladdy and May. If you got the raid or kings package, you can buy the tier 6 items here to upgrade those items. I would not run tier 6 raids. I would just run tier 7 raids and use the coins to buy these items to upgrade the items you got. For example, if I buy a bunch of the Swift Darkness earrings here, I can then just go and upgrade those items I got from the King's package, or the raid package on my alt here. But dragons, they're super important. You definitely want to do them. Raising a team for dragons is probably a good idea. Hey, success in the first try. Just because, well, dragons are where you're going to spend a ton of your time in this game. You are going to be spending a lot of time and a lot of your stamina. Like, a lot of new players seem to think that it's actually difficult to spend all their stamina, and especially as a newer player, it kind of is until you get to the point where you're farming super quickly and can do stages in under a minute. Using up all your stamina a day when you get almost 2,000 a day can be pretty difficult. But once you start doing dragon raids and you're spending 56 stamina every 3 minutes, it becomes a lot more difficult to actually save stamina, and saving your stamina pots for events becomes much harder, because if you use all your stamina in a day, you're going to start running out of stamina pretty quickly. For the stats on the dragon items that you're looking for, I've already made a video on this, but just quickly, DPS want attack, attack speed, crit damage. They also want penetration, and accuracy and lifesteal are stats they don't mind getting. For a tank, they want max HP, physical defense, magical defense, and physical block. Although they don't mind getting attack speed, and they don't mind getting a few other minor ones. But for the most part, you want max HP, physical defense, magical defense, and physical block as your main 4 for your tanks. Anyways, guys, those are dragons in King's Raid. I would recommend, as a newer player, try to find a guild or some people to help you do dragons. Do not farm tier 3 to 5 dragons. It's just not worth it. At the most, I would farm tier 6 dragons. And honestly, I wouldn't even farm tier 6 dragons. I would just go straight to tier 7 and let people carry you as you get your first items. Just use heroic and ancient gear with perfect substats for tier 6, as well as tier 5 and below. But you can farm tier 6 dragons if you want. It's not the end of the world. It's just tier 7 dragons. They're pretty easy to do. A lot of people can carry you through tier 7 dragons. Azrael and I are always up to carry our guild members through dragons if they're online and need our help, and we have the stamina to do so. And I personally have an ult that can help out in Red Dragon 70 pretty easily if needed. Oh, there you go. So this is what happens if you don't get the crowd control off on the dragon. That is its giant breath attack, and as you can see, it literally wiped our entire team. It didn't matter that we had 2 tanks. It didn't matter that Frey has a really nice shield. Frey is another unit that's really good for raids, especially early on, just because her shield is raid wide and will help a lot in keeping the raid alive. And yeah, it's that attack really, really hurts. But yeah, finding people to carry you through dragons is not too much of a problem. If you're getting carried, what I would suggest is try to use a utility hero. So don't try to bring a DPS. Your DPS will not do anything. You're probably going to be hitting like 200,000 or 300,000 at the most, which is absolutely nothing when we've got DPS that can do 5 to 6 million. Instead, you want to bring a utility hero. My alternate account brings Artemia, because Artemia does fairly good damage, has huge AoE for the whelps, and has pretty good effect on the dragon's crowd control bar. But if I don't want to bring Artemia, Dimael has a magical amp, and Annette also has magical amps and is also a healer of sorts. So I could also bring Annette if I wanted, if my team was having a bit more problems with struggling to survive. My main, when I was leeching, used to bring Frey at all times. Azrael, when she was leeching, if they didn't have a Yan or a Laius, she would just bring Yan or Laius, because those are pretty helpful. Mediana is also pretty helpful. I would not bring a melee unit, just because melee units are in the front line and will get hit by swipes from the dragon. The dragon's basic attack is just a minor swipe attack with its paws, or its forearms, I guess. So if you bring a melee unit, they are liable to get one-shot if they don't have proper defensive gear, if they get hit by the small AoE from the dragon's paws, pretty much. So bringing a backliner, especially a healer, can be pretty useful, or even better, a buffer. If we don't bring Mediana or someone else like her, then bringing a hero that can buff or a hero that can amp that's in the backline, like Dimael, is actually pretty helpful, as that will increase the damage of the entire raid or the survivability of the entire raid. Anyways, guys, those are dragon raids in King's Raid. I hope this video is helpful for you. Subscribe if you liked it, and have a good one.